Okay, so you think you want to own a bar, do you?
Yes.
I knew you would say yes. And probably a lot of people out there in our audience, they think that they would like to own a bar. So today we're going to talk about owning a bar. We're going to talk about things you should know before you even take the leap to own a bar. Now, the first thing that you should know is what are your true costs going to be? You've got to know the numbers, folks. If the numbers don't work, the bar won't work. That is a fact of life. Know your numbers. So we're going to go over some of those numbers. First thing you need to understand is bars have to carry a lot of insurance. What type of insurance do we have, Jen?
Got liquor liability, building, business, and a backup policy just for shits and giggles.
That's right. 4 policies to own a bar. You've got to know what those costs are. And I'm going to tell you up front, most of these insurances, they want 6 months or a year's in advance. So you've got to have that money set aside for it. Know what that cost is, but then after you know what your true cost is, break it down to per week. Because what you got to do is put together a week budget. How many customers do you have to have come through the door? How much do they have to buy? How much do you need to break even? You've got to know these numbers. And if you don't, you probably shouldn't be getting into the bar business. Another thing you need to consider is licensing. Licensing,
Can be
right?
really difficult.
It can be
You gotta be able to pass a
difficult.
background check.
If you've had a felony in your recent past, chances are you will not qualify. But talk to your local officials. You're going to have a county license and a state license to own a bar. So talk to those people. And another thing you need to consider, talk to the people at your local health department. Because they have their own set of rules and regulations, and you better know what they are, because those people do have the power to shut you down.
Know your county ordinance.
Yes, absolutely. Talk to your county officials. Before Jen and I we were considering opening a bar. We'd always wanted to. She had owned a bar in Paducah, Kentucky, Ernie Sports Bar. Her and her ex-husband owned that for 17 years. #1 bar in the whole area for 17 years. Jen knew what she was doing. She had a lot of this information. I'll be honest with you, I've owned a lot of other businesses. I'd never been in the bar business before. I would not have invested my money in this bar if it was not for this lady right here. She knows what she's doing. Yes, she knows what she's doing. And basically, I invested in Jen. I knew that she understood the bar business. She knew it inside and out. So for me, the only real problem for me was I'm a numbers guy. I had to crunch the numbers. I'm not willing to invest my money in anything that I can't get it back out of it at some point. So I wanted to know these numbers. That's why we're talking to you about numbers today. Another thing you need to consider is your employee costs. You've got to have employees because you can't run a bar without employees. It takes a team. So figure out who you're going to have, how much you're going to pay them. You got to factor in, you have to match their Social Security. You got to pay employee payroll taxes on them. I mean, find out all these numbers before you jump, people. I'm trying to help you here, not trying to discourage you. It is possible, and if you really want to do it, it is a great business. But know what you're doing before you jump. Now, the fourth thing on the list, furniture and equipment. We had to spend a ton of money on furniture and equipment.
Yep.
I don't know.
And then you got to be prepared to replace and repair
That's
those items
right.
when they go down.
That's right. Because if your air conditioning unit goes down, guess what? Your customers will bail. If it's hot, they won't stick around, and I don't blame them. So you've got to have good equipment. Everything from your ice machine to your air conditioning unit, everything has to work. So figure out all those costs and have a little bit of spare money in backup. It's like Jen says, things do break. And we know because we've had a lot of repairs over the years. We've been here 8 years now. And we've had to repair the air conditioning unit, I don't know, a half a dozen times?
Or so.
Because, it works hard. So if you've got all that down, and you're at a point you're like, okay, I got this. I know the numbers. I think I can make it work. How many hours of operation are you going to be open? You know, when we first opened, we were running 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And we opened up at, what was it, 10 in the morning or 11?
Well, for a period of time, it was 11.
Yeah, we were running from 11 to midnight. So, you know, you're talking 13 hours a day. Are you willing to put in 13 hours a day?
Plus the other 3 before anybody sees you do anything.
That's true, too. You've got to come in. You've got to restock product. You got to mop the floors. You know, there's a lot that goes on in a bar before they ever open. So if your hours of operation are 12 hours a day, count on working 14. That's a reality. So know that. Okay, you still want to own a bar. So what's the theme of your bar going to be? Do you remember talking about that before we opened up?
Yep.
I said, Jen, we're not in Chicago. We're not in New York or L.A. We're in Draftonville, Kentucky.
In a garage.
What do these people want? And Jen said, I know exactly what they want. And she painted the picture in my mind, and then I built it. That's how that happened. I mean, this bar was Jen's idea, her thoughts, that we made reality. And, well, I shouldn't say I built it. I did the bulk of the work, but Jen helped me all the way. She was the only person that helped the full way through. And we whipped it out. But we did know that the theme of our bar was going to be a small town country bar. We wanted deer mounts on the walls. We wanted fish hanging on the walls. We wanted lots of bar lights. We wanted lots of games, entertainment for people. So we talked about all that before we ever pulled the trigger on opening a bar. The other thing we talked about was who was our audience or our customer base. Who is it? Who was going to appreciate what we were going to do? You kind of need to know that, because you don't want to build, say, a mafia-related bar in a church town. You don't want to build, something that people just won't go to. You're not going to go to Minnesota and open up an alligator bar. It may work in Louisiana, but it's not going to work in Minnesota. So think about the theme of your bar and make that theme something that the locals in your area can relate to. Because if they can't relate to it, they won't come in. That's just a reality. So know who you're dealing with, know who your customer base is, and good luck. So now, you've made it this far. What about the products they sell, Jen?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
So many. But before we get into that, we need to cover that you need to be fully dedicated and understand that you're married to this place. Yeah. Or any place you open. If the food truck comes at 7 a.m. when they're not supposed to be there at 11, guess what?
You got to get out of bed
and on your feet you go.
Yep.
Because there is nobody else. When the food truck doesn't show up, you got to be ready to run to the store and get filling items. There's a lot that people don't see, and so it cracks me up when I hear people say, well, Jen, all you do is sit around drinking beer. I said, that's right. Yeah. That's all I do. I don't know where you were at this morning, but by this afternoon, yes, you're at.
That's right. If you're not a hard worker, honestly, I wouldn't recommend you getting into the bar business, because it does take a lot of effort and a lot of time. And you are married to the bar. In the 8 years that we've been open, we've only been able to leave a couple of times for short periods of time and know that the bar was in good hands. You have to have people you trust that work for you. And if you don't, you can't ever leave. You can never leave.
You also have to recognize your own limitations. As far as, like, we did the rehab shows and we've done the midget wrestling, or micro wrestling, excuse me, littles. All the things that you think are great ideas, but you have to limit yourself at a point where can my staff pull this off and it go without flaw.
Right.
Hell, the one time when rehab was here, the water main broke down the road. We could see the water pouring on the 641. The only reason we didn't have to close was because we had the porta potties.
Right.
Because you have to have bathrooms in order to operate.
Right. And thank God, Jen, knowing how to do big events, she said, I know we have 4 bathrooms, but we can't depend on that. We have to have porta potties, and thank God she did, or it would have ruined that show.
Right. And just like how we bag ice, we had extra ice, so that was not an issue. So sometimes just the planning ahead is what will save your day.
Yes, planning is everything. Everything.
And that way, even when a plan comes apart, you've still got somewhat of a plan because you had a backup plan anyway.
Right. So let's assume that whoever it is that's wanting to open a bar, they have enough cash to put the bar together. They got enough money to stock the bar.
Right.
What else should they have? My thought is, you better have a year's worth of living expenses on hand that you can live on, because this bar may not make you any money for a year. You know, there's a lot of little things that go wrong along the way, and your profits can get eaten up taking care of all that little stuff. But you, as a human, you still have to eat. You still have to have your house payments made. Your car payments still have to be made. Your insurance still has to be paid. So make sure that you got enough to survive 1 full year, minimum, or I would not get into the bar business. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree.
Yeah, I just I can't emphasize enough how planning is everything, and knowing where you're at. You know, I always say we can deal with anything if we know what we have to deal with. That's why we're big on planning. Me and Jen have always been big on planning. So, what would your one recommendation for owning a bar be?
Get good help. We've got a couple of the best.
We have some great employees. We really do. We've gone through a lot of people to get to the cream of the crop, but we have really good employees, and we have awesome customers. I think we got the best customers anywhere. But
And they think so too.
Well, yeah, they do. But
they tell each other that all the time.
My recommendation for owning a bar, and I say this with all sincerity, partner with somebody that knows what they're doing. Like I said before, I invested in Jen. She knew what she was doing. I can tell you how to start, you know, a normal business. I know a lot about business. I've been successful for a lot of years, long before this bar ever was even thought of. But I knew nothing about the bar business. In fact, I never even really hung out in bars much. I don't drink myself. I may have 4 or 5 beers in a year. But Jen, she knows the bar business. I invested in her.
I know people.
Well, you know the bar business, and that comes with knowing people. She knows all the bands in the local area. She knows all the karaoke people in the area. She knows all the dart players, the pool leagues. I mean, she had experience dealing with all these people for a lot of years, and that's why I think we're successful. It's Jen. She makes this bar work. And if I was you, if you don't know enough about the bar business, find somebody that does. If you can't find that person, you might want to invest your money into a different business. Not trying to discourage you, just being honest, trying to help you out here. So is there anything you'd like to add, Jen, or are we at the end? Maybe just good luck, huh?
Toughen up, buttercups. You can do it.
Yeah, you can do
it. You gotta
it.
be willing to do it.
Where there's a will, there is a way. But watch this video a few times, think about it, and adjust it to what you need. Because, you know, this is not a one-size-fits-all list. It just gives you a good starting point. So if you're thinking about opening a bar, good luck. We wish you well. And may God bless you and your customers.
Holler if you need me.
We are willing to help. If you want to call the bar and ask for advice, we'll be happy to give it to you. You may not like it, and it's worth exactly what we're going to charge you, nothing. So, until next time, y'all have a great day.
See you at the garden.
With the Beer Garden Mafia, that's how we roll. Laughing loud, living free, that's how we stole.